Here we go.
All right. Okay, folks, back at it here. Russ and I talking about lady muscle, low carb lady muscle. Now, Russ, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because, I mean, I don't know anything about bodybuilders and this kind of stuff. I mean, like, what do you do when you see a chick like that walking at you in the grocery store? She's there pulling out a bag of peas from the frozen food section. And you're like, should I go down the next aisle?
No, I like it.
But then you have the different types. So,
yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you've worked with a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
And then you've also worked with female athletes, which is why we're talking about this, because female athletes, too, have their own specific needs aside from male athletes.
The women athletes is going to become a hot topic. Everything from Ronda Rousey in the news, MMA, to the professional tennis players, to performance-enhancing drugs. And, you know, it is scary, isn't it? But I've immersed myself in these two different areas, triathletes, bodybuilders, and the elderly market. And what we can glean from them is muscle wasting. You know, the female bodybuilder there is a scary picture, but what they're able to do...
It's scary until you accept it, Russ. Just accept it.
I know, okay. The good one.
Love it.
Yeah, but, you know, what I've learned from the female bodybuilders is like when we were working with AIDS patients and then we were studying the female bodybuilders, we were able to look at blood work and get research, and even though it looks really scary to some folks, these people are able to maintain muscle. How do they do that? So we break it down. Well, the women triathletes that I've worked with for years, why are they losing muscle? So by immersing ourselves in these two different fields, we could help the elderly. Now, the elderly, everybody talks about osteoporosis, but in reality, the elderly need to maintain muscle mass. Sarcopenia, exactly. Sarcopenia means muscle wasting in the elderly.
If you have strong muscles, then, of course, those will protect your bones, fall,
exactly.
all that kind of stuff. That's where that comes from.
Exactly. So by looking at the athletes and seeing how they maintain muscle, seeing what happens when they break muscle down as athletes, sprinters maintain more muscle mass than an endurance athlete. Why? Because when you do sprinting, you know, you elevate growth hormone, you elevate testosterone levels. So if you look at the bodies of a marathon runner and then look at a sprinter, you can see the sprinters look like ponies. Yeah. They're very, very fit. Now, you know, I respect all these people because, I mean, I don't point my fingers and say anything is bad, but the research that I do on these outliers gives us boatloads of information that we'll never see in a double-blind study. Where are you going to study female bodybuilders at a university? Where are you going to study a group of women athletes? So we've been collecting data on these folks for like 20 years now. Gotcha. That's why we build some really cool customized programs.
Okay. Well, let's just break these down. Okay, we'll go into it. Why not? So we have our sprinter, a little bit more muscle tone for sprinting, our long-distance marathon runner, or even sometimes a triathlete with a little less muscle, and of course just the bodybuilder that just focuses on building your muscle rather than the performance like the other two aspects. So what can we glean from, let's just say, you've tested a lot of athletes. Let's talk about the sprinter.
Well, you know, the sprinter is what everybody's getting to, high performance interval training right now. The sprinter makes a lot of sense. You could actually kick in testosterone and growth hormone levels by doing short intervals. I'm always thinking about protecting the heart and the brain. Okay. Now, when I was a long distance athlete, I was damaging my body. Didn't realize it, but you know, a lot of the people around me were damaging my body from going too far and elevating cortisol levels. And I'm not shooting it down, but the sprinting is more conducive to a healthier lifestyle. Okay. You know, and maintaining muscle mass as opposed to, you know, running a marathon. Again, I help marathon runners finish marathons safely. You know, I was a triathlete going long distance, but over a period of time that breaks you down. Sooner or later, we're going to have to move from long distance training over to sprinting to maintain our heart, to maintain our brain.
Okay. Any cons with the sprinters, the interval training that you can kind of see? Because you give a lot of pros there. Any kind of cons?
Yeah, the cons. The interval training is I had a couple of guys that went out and did interval training, and they pulled muscles. Well, because you've got to warm up. A lot of people are wearing those. You know, those
the feet shoes. That
yeah,
look
the
like
feet
your
shoes.
Feet, which...
Well, I mean, if your feet are used to, you know, being inside shoes a long time, and then you go barefoot, your tendons aren't strong enough to handle the pressure. So you got to, again, get out on the grass. Do, you know, barefoot running clubs are going crazy in this country. Go in the grass, run some intervals in the grass, barefooted, but don't run 5 miles in those.
Well, we ran barefoot when there was no roads and
exactly.
paved, and so that's why the arches of our feet came in handy. But now everything is paved and flat, so
yeah. The Kenyan runners have a word. It's called "stay off the tarmac," and I can't remember it right now. It's a long word, but basically they run on the red clay, and they're not injured. So my point is, you know, the sprinter. The cons is that you got to warm up and really be careful. You got to, you know, you don't want to pull a tendon or pull a muscle because you're doing explosive speed. you have to be careful with people over 52 that aren't used to that. So you got to be coached. You got to have a coach to follow you in your program.
Gotcha. And now the marathon runner. Now we talked about that. Let's get into, pros and cons heart-wise and stuff. Because a lot of people can do marathons and they look good, or they do triathletes and they look good. But why is it not so conducive to your heart, okay, and your brain?
Well, one of the things we found out is, and I was one of the long-distance guys, is I started, when I was a paramedic and I wanted to move into a sport that's going to be healthy, I went into endurance sports. Well, I started seeing a lot of arrhythmias, a lot of heart problems, a lot of depression after, racing for a few years. And I thought to myself, this sport is not that healthy. So physiologically, when you travel long distance, your body goes through changes. You elevate cortisol, you lower your hormone levels,
okay.
And if you do it the wrong way, you could damage your heart.
Okay.
So now, by training long distance, by eating high carbohydrates, it creates an inflammatory response in the body that can damage your heart and damage your brain. Now, we never knew that before. I was racing thinking, oh, I'm fit, but then I started doing my blood work, and after races, for about a month afterwards, my mood was in the toilet. I didn't feel good. I didn't talk to anybody about it, but I'm just like, man, this can't be healthy. And I started doing my own blood work. And again, I'm not the non-smoker in a room getting on people's cases. I'm just saying, get a good baseline, no matter what your challenge is, climbing K2, running a marathon, but understand physiologically what your body is going through, and then and let us help you plug in a program.
Gotcha.
Whether you're a bodybuilder, long-distance runner, sprinter, these things, this wide spectrum of physiological changes that people go through, we could share this with the elderly folks like I'm doing now.
Gotcha. Okay, the last one, all right, are bodybuilders, like extreme bodybuilders like that.
Yeah, think about a woman that has to maintain that much muscle mass. It's not natural. Her diet, her training, understanding the anabolics, how they work. I mean, the list of meds that some of these people are on to maintain that muscle mass is long and distinguished. So by me running lab work and understanding physiologically what they're going through, they are the outliers. A lot of them, some of them have had heart attacks. Some of them have high hemoglobin A1C. They're actually damaging their metabolism. They're causing a lot of oxidative stress. Remember when we cut the apple in half and the apple gets brown? Yeah, they have a lot of oxidative stress going on. And cholesterol imbalances. There's something called lipid fractionalizations, that the cholesterol molecules that are small like marbles can get inside the arteries if they're using too much of the anabolics. So again, I just look at what these people are doing and understanding that is an art form to maintain that muscle mass when your body is not designed to maintain that muscle mass. And there's something very expensive about maintaining muscle mass. The calories you have to eat is truly amazing. But what I learned from these guys can help a cancer patient or a woman in her 60s that has muscle wasting. You see, there's things we can learn from everybody up here.
So to do that, what's their testosterone to progesterone ratio? Do they have to, their estrogen too, is that in the toilet? Do they take the estrogen blockers?
Oh, good point.
In order
to
increase their testosterone or to increase their progesterone? How does that play in?
Basically estrogen doesn't, you can't produce a lot of muscle if your estrogen is high. So yes, they've got to maintain a high level of testosterone to maintain that much muscle mass. Of course, then they got to follow it up with a high amount of calories. Well, when you eat a lot of calories and you add a lot of testosterone to your physiology, you could create something called oxidative stress, which we've done videos on before about the apple getting brown and the antioxidants. You really compromise your whole physiology. And there is like a body dysmorphic image going on, whether you're anorexic or you're carrying a lot of muscle mass. These people will tell you that even before a show, I'll be working out and I still feel small. So there's a behavioral thing going on here as well. Again, I'm not shooting this down, but I know that I have coaches that are going to work with these people to help them shift their behavior a little bit. It's going to be real important.
Gotcha. All right, so then I can roll into performance enhancement drugs. How do those play a role in some of these marathon runners, even the bodybuilders, all that kind of stuff? How did that play a role in this?
Yeah, but the performance enhancing drugs have been around since the beginning of time. People will do anything, to go faster, to recover from exercise, and we know whether it's professional football or riding the Tour de France that underneath the radar there's a lot of performance enhancement drugs already being used. What's interesting is what people don't talk about is like testosterone and growth hormone is going to be used to rehab injuries and rehab brain injuries and assist elderly patients with their cognitive function. So these performance-enhancing drugs are always have a bad light shine on them, but they're healing to a lot of people. So again, the people that use performance-enhancing drugs for sports, like I know what they went through, because when they went out there and they try to go on their own and they notice everybody around them is faster, stronger, and recovering faster, you know, they kind of look at each other and they go, what? We got to do something, or we're going to get kicked out of here. And that's sort of how that happens, whether it's a cyclist using erythropoietin, EPO, to increase red blood cells, or to recover with a little micro dosing of testosterone. I was in that field, and I worked with performance-enhancing drugs for a long time for helping people get well, to helping people in hormone replacement clinics. So I watched the benefits of this, as well I watched abuses of it. I used it myself when I was trying to recover from 20 years of beating my body up triathlon training. The performance-enhancing drugs helped me recover, made me strong again, and I didn't go crazy bodybuilding or anything, but I knew that physiologically I damaged my heart and I damaged my brain. So the performance-enhancing drugs it seems like they're always going to be around. There's always going to be testing for it. Everybody's going to try to push the outside of the envelope because there's so much money involved in sports.
Yeah. Well, imagine this, okay? Think about this, because a lot of times people use performance enhancement drugs because we're all biochemically unique. So the other guy, you and I are racing, maybe your testosterone is just naturally higher than mine. You're at like 800 or so, and just my body doesn't produce that much testosterone. I'm at like 500. Okay, so imagine where people are allowed to use some of these performance enhancement drugs, but it's to level the playing field, to like, okay, now I'm at 800, you're at 800, we test our testosterone, we test some of these other markers of our body. So now we use some of this stuff, but we use it to get everybody on the same par, and then we kind of go out of the gates from there.
No, I know, I like that. Yeah, everybody in a perfect world. It's no different than VO2 max with the cyclist. If your VO2 max is 84 and mine is 96, I carry more oxygen to my muscle.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to climb the Alpe d'Huez in France a lot faster than you,
and that's just how you were built.
Because genetically I was dealt a good set of cards. So
But if we can even the playing field, now I got a shot when I'm not genetically
exactly.
modified like that.
And I think that's just like women. Look at the women tennis players. We tested Stephanie Nikitas, who was the head UCF tennis coach, has a CrossFit gym here in town. When we tested her intestinal tract was out of balance. So she was drinking all this Chimbuca tea, and it really caused an imbalance in her intestinal tract. And we rebalanced her intestinal tract, and she lost weight, she got stronger. The reason I hooked up with Stephanie was she was riding 100 miles a week, plus doing her tennis coaching, and she started to gain weight. So we drilled down on a program for her. So this is exactly what you're talking about. Physiologically, everybody is biochemically unique. If you could level the playing field, it would be fair. But I can tell you that people that are using, the performance-enhancing drugs and testosterone isn't about muscles. It's about recovery. It's about recovery.
Faster recovery.
Exactly.
Back in the game.
On a cellular level.
Good deal. All right, so let's just roll into stress and weight gain here, because this goes a little bit out of the athletic part and just goes into, hey, real life stuff. Females deal with a lot of stress, and then how does that contribute to weight gain? Because we've all seen this. I mean, it's in their head. I'm at the gym, I see the girls that walk in, the first thing they do is go around the corner and then jump on the scale before they do anything else. And they look at that scale, and that's like their measurement of how they perceive everything, but which it shouldn't be like that.
Right, exactly.
But let's just talk about how stress could just cause something simple as weight gain.
Psychoneuroimmunology from Dr. Sapolsky out of Stanford, who wrote the book Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, basically talks about the stress response in the body. When you're under physical, mental, or emotional stress and you elevate cortisol levels, you can naturally hang on to body fat. So in America, women are always held to a higher standard about how they look, and I see women all the time get caught in the endurance trap. They're spending hours and hours and hours on the treadmill when they don't have to. So if we could balance the stress out and check for nutritional and hormonal deficiencies, we could not only balance the brain chemistry, but we could shift their body into fat burning now. And they don't have to spend 20 hours a week on a Stairmaster. You see, the whole idea of, I have to exercise so many hours a week, I have to exercise 20 hours a week, that's all wrong. Because I've got women marathon runners across the finish line that are still obese. Why is that? If calories in, calories out, why aren't these marathon runners thin after their marathon? Well, they're not, because they're hormonally out of balance. So by educating people like you and I do, and help them understand that when you're under stress, bad phone call, argument, in a bad relationship, you're in a job that you hate, you're going to elevate certain markers, certain chemicals in your body that's going to make you store body fat. And once we teach people that, then they're able to get a hold of their weight quicker.
Stress is the silent killer that not a lot of people look at, but it is there.
No, exactly.
It is there haunting you and all of us. All right, so you mentioned calories in, calories out. You know, it's a big sham, whatever.
I know, right?
It's coming up to light, but how could diet affect some of these folks, some women looking to lose weight? And I know low carb is a big thing now too. So how does that play into this whole picture of everything?
Well, that's a very fine line, and this is what I'm teaching my coaches to do right now. This is interesting. When you're under physical, mental, or emotional stress, you elevate cortisol levels, and you lower your feel-good chemicals in your brain, serotonin and dopamine.
And you want to grab the donut.
Yeah, so you're under stress, you lower your feel-good chemicals in your brain, and what are you going to gravitate to?
Alcohol, yes.
Poor man's Prozac.
Donuts, carbs.
Donuts, simple carbohydrates. When you eat a simple carbohydrate, you elevate the feel-good chemicals in the brain, serotonin and dopamine. Alcohol is just like a simple carbohydrate. When you drink, you elevate your feel-good chemicals in your brain. So bagels, alcohol, white rice, pasta. When you're under stress, those foods are going to be elevating your brain chemistry.
Happy food.
Yeah, so you're going to gravitate towards them. So now, if you're an athlete and you're low carb in it, you know, low carb is needed to help you get lean, help keep your insulin levels low. Low carb is needed to help elevate growth hormone. So it's really tough to go low carb when you're under stress, because at the end of the day, some of these people, it's the only thing that they're looking forward to is the food. So this is why the coaching is very, very important. At that 11th hour, you get on the phone with somebody and you walk them through this. Physicians don't have time for this. Dietitians and exercise physiologists, they don't know how the body works. But physiologically, when you're under stress, understand that people are eating to medicate their brain and to help them get through that stress response. If you get your head around that, that's ground zero for a good treatment protocol.
And coaching is a big thing. We just did a video on coaching.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah, right.
Check that video out. All right, about coaching. We could throw that one in there. All right, look at that beautiful picture of that hot little young lady. Okay, so obviously everybody looks at the magazine covers. They see these beautiful women and they think, oh my gosh, what are they doing? They must be doing so much stuff that I'm not doing. So let's talk about a couple of weight loss myths. And you even work with some models.
Yeah,
I did. Some of the myths you've dispelled from their head to get them healthy, because wow, that looks healthy, but it might not be so healthy.
Yeah, the models that I work with are under extreme amount of stress. They've got an entourage that monitors them and feeds them food, and sometimes they don't get the best information. So then I come on board and, you know, I got to do battle with these guys. I don't like doing that, but I like to educate the people that are around the model, because their time in the game is short, and they're trying to make as much money as they can. But one of them in particular was drinking smoothies every morning. So I shot you the video we shot.
Yeah, that's right.
Smoothies make you fat. It came from what I was learning, what the model was, what her group was doing. She was drinking smoothies and she was starting to put on weight. So I explained to her why that happened and why eating 6 meals a day is not the best. I try to explain to her the importance of fat. You got to take fat in to burn fat, and of course, cleaning the chalkboard in her head, because all the people around her and everybody out in LA and everybody has this one way of doing it, but it wasn't working for her. So that's sort of what I run into.
Well, just to clarify here, 6 meals a day, you elevate your insulin levels 6 times a day, you spike that, so that's your body's storing fat 6 times a day.
Exactly.
And smoothies, fruit, yeah, sure, it's healthy, a lot of antioxidants, but a lot of sugar too, and that's more fat storage, so boom, okay.
So, but these people are told that these protein smoothies are going to help you stay thin, so the girl would drink her protein smoothie, shut off fat burning, and then get on the treadmill for an hour. She was wasting time and just breaking down muscle tissue. So, you know, I see this stuff happening, but I got to go really slow because I have a tendency to overwhelm people sometimes, you know, as you can imagine. But I just wanted her to get results. So we shot the video, Smoothies Make You Fat. And that little video we shot made more sense. It got across to more people than me hitting somebody over the head with statistics.
Yeah, no, they're good. You know, everybody loves smoothies. I mean, I still drink some from time to time.
Of course.
The human body needs to digest food and break it down.
Right.
When you already put it in your body broken down in a big sloth,
exactly,
and that defeats half the purpose of it. So,
well, this girl had to lose 16 pounds, 16 to 20 pounds for a movie.
Okay.
So, you know, here's a first movie shot, and they're telling her to lose weight, and they don't care. They just say get the weight off. So
Stress.
again, and she's young, and she was young and everything, and it was you could see the pressure was amazing. So what can I plug in really quick to educate her to plug into her program? And then this is another reason why we're getting on board with the coaching, because I couldn't call her every day and walk her through it. That's obviously not my skill set, but from now on, we're going to have coaches working with folks like this.
We already did the coaching plug, Russ, so if you want to do it again, we can do the coaching plug again. But hey, okay, what can women do now? Live to be a healthy 100 years old. I mean, look at these ladies. It's pretty impressive. But so give us some tips. What can people do to live? You know, some people might not want to live to be 100, but at least live a healthy life and be active into your 70s and not be in a wheelchair. And so you've got some stories of when, you know, you were working and bringing people in and out of nursing homes.
Yeah, I know. This is like, this really is burned into my memory. When I was working as a paramedic, saving lives and going to the nursing homes, I would see when I moved somebody into a nursing home, of course, I would go back there a few times a month, and I would watch what happened to people when they got away from their family.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. They just went downhill. And then on the way in the ambulance going back to the emergency room, I'd be working on people, and they started to go south, and I'm trying to start an IV or save them, and they're like, listen, I don't have any kids. I don't have any family left. Just let me go. Wow. And me being in my 20s, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, how could anybody not want to be on this earth? But then as you age, you're like, you know what? That doesn't look so bad. I'm just saying. No, but these are the things that resonated with me. So, and I was raised to respect older folks, to take care of older folks. They're was part of my family, part of my community. So when I left the nursing homes, and then fast forward 20 years, and I got to work in these anti-aging centers doing the hormone and nutritional replacement therapy, and I watched what these nutrition did. I watched what replacing hormone levels did, like we just talked about. People in their 70s and 80s still riding their bikes, still wanting to climb K2, still wanting to go to Europe.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. This is the fountain of youth. If we rebalance somebody's body chemistry and help them, monitor them, and I was training the physicians at these locations. So remember, in my mind, it burned into my mind the quality of life of these people going into a nursing home at 60. Now, 20 years later, I'm working in these anti-aging centers, in Boca Raton, with watching physiologically and blood work of these people in their 70s and 80s, still in the game, still got that gleam in their eyes. So that's where this is headed. That's where this is headed. Putting older folks on 5 medications, really? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Work with their food, clean up their intestinal tract, doc. These older folks have 5 doctors. None of them are talking to each other. Yeah. They put them on cholesterol-lowering drugs that are causing so much damage. It's lowering every hormone in the body. It's crazy. So I'm passionate about helping the older folks. I know we got programs. I know we could take them to the next level.
Well, for folks out there, the key is to start early.
Exactly.
When they're younger, just like retirement savings. You don't start when you're 50, you start when you're 20s,
exactly.
30s. But then again, it's also never too late to start, regardless of what age you're
exactly.
at. But yeah, in your 30s, because when you get to 60 and 70, it's too late. You don't want to be the one that's in the nursing home, pushing around in a wheelchair. You want to be the one that's out there doing yoga stances on your head, I guess, boy, or that thing, whatever that's called.
Exactly. 60 million people are going to turn 65 in this country in the next 5 years. These people will demand proper health care. These people are not going to go to their doctor and say, give me 5 medicines. They're going to want to stay in the game, and they're going to seek out this program that we have. Trust me.
Absolutely. And coaching and just, whatever the medical system is not offering them, they're going to find it.
Exactly.
All right. There's a lot of them. Cool. All right. Any other final thoughts you want to add here?
No, that was good, man.
Not bad. All right. Whoop. Bam. Promo slide. There you go. Thanks for joining us, Russ Scala, Trent Duncan. Check out our YouTube channel. Get educated on all sorts of personalized medicine that can help you out. And shoot us an email if you have any questions, comments. Check out our website and all that kind of stuff. We're there to help. All right.
Thanks, brother.
See you.
Appreciate it.